as we're driving to the beach, it's probably like a good 20, 30-minute drive out to Montauk from where his house is at. And I expected us to stop for bagels on the way, knowing that the plan was to take the bagels to the beach. He just veers off. I mean, this is like a
Forgot
typical.
to get the bagels?
He did not get the bagels.
Oh,
and so in my.
Hello, and welcome to the Chats with Cats podcast, The Wedding Era. I am your host, Catherine Michelle, and a bride-to-be, which is why this podcast even exists. I'm trying to plan a destination wedding in under 9 months, and as of today, I have absolutely nothing planned. All I have is a fiance and a wedding planner. I don't have a date, I don't have a venue, I don't have a dress, I have absolutely nothing else, and it's incredibly overwhelming. So I'm turning to the experts for some advice. I'm interviewing real brides and grooms who have been there, done that, have gotten down the aisle successfully on how they did it, how they planned it, what went well, what didn't, what they splurge on, what they save on. We'll be talking about family dynamics, divorce, intercultural relationships, interfaith relationships. We'll be talking about all of it. So if you love love and you love weddings, you're definitely in the right place. So this is how it's going to work. There will be one new episode every single week, and it will be broken down into 3 parts. At the top of every episode, it's going to be a little chit chat just with me and you, talking about what I achieved in wedding planning in real time that week. Part 2 is when I invite our special guests on to interview and hear about their stories, how they met the love of their life, to the proposal, to I do up at the altar. And at the end of the episode, we'll be closing it out with a wedding dilemma hotline. So if you have any questions, concerns, and you're seeking some advice, you could submit your question anonymously in the link below in the description, and we'll do our very best to answer them to get you down the aisle smoothly. This podcast will be streamed on all podcast platforms anywhere you listen to podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Now, the YouTube's where the party's going to be at because there will be a lot of visual aids. The YouTube will have all the photos from their weddings, the videos from their weddings. It will have everything. So if you want to see what these brides and grooms' weddings actually look like, head over to the YouTube and you will have everything you could ever need. It will be a feast for your eyes. So if you made it this far into this intro, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and to listening to this podcast. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a little nervous, but it's okay. We can do this together. And I hope that we just have some fun. This is our own little cozy corner of the podcast world where we can commiserate, we can cry, we can celebrate, we can do it all. So without further ado, I am so pleased to present to you for the first time my very first guest ever, Adyson. Adyson, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for being my very first guest. I'm dying. I appreciate you so much. And before we get into the wedding, can you give everybody a little intro of who you are, where you're from, and just a little snapshot of your life?
Sure. So I'm Adyson. I currently live in New York City, originally from the Midwest, in Minnesota. I have been in the city now for about 7.5 years, and about 5 years ago is when I met my now husband. We have just finished our wedding. It's been about a month now. It was amazing, and it was a lot of work. I mean, we were coming from, living in New York, planning a destination wedding, not really sure how all of that worked. We were the first of our siblings on either side to get married, so this was like a big deal for both sides of the families, which was really exciting. And yeah, I'm just happy to be talking about it.
You seem like you're still on cloud 9, which I love.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like the glow will go on and on for at least another 5-6 months.
I love that.
Yeah, it's just been, there was so much buildup to it that I think that you just carry it with you.
Yeah. So I know how you and your husband met, and your husband is my oldest friend in the entire world. We met when we were 3. We're all in our 30s. Well, at least me and your husband are in our 30s now. So how did you and your husband meet?
So we met in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic in New York City. It was through Hinge. That was really the only way that people could meet at that point. Because it was at such a high time during COVID. So we were, stuck messaging each other through the app. I was actually in the middle of a quarantine at the time. So I think we had messaged back and forth for about 2 weeks before actually meeting in person, which it's a pretty long time to message someone without meeting them in person. And yeah, I feel like it was, though, very much an invisible string because we later learned that the entire time that we were both living in New York City, we had always lived 6 blocks away from each other. So
I
when
didn't know
I moved,
that.
yeah, when I moved in 2018, we lived 6 blocks away from each other, both moved at some point and again lived 6 blocks away from each other. And it, like, that to me just felt like, oh wow, okay, this is like something cool. So
Yeah,
I
you
love
guys were
invisible string
meant to
things.
bounce into each other.
Yes, exactly. And that was really great for the time during COVID because we could just walk to each other's apartments, which, I mean, at that point was really all you could do. Transportation wasn't really a thing. So yeah, it was not the most exciting way to me, but I think it was definitely meant to be.
I think Hinge is exciting. Hinge worked. I met my fiance on Hinge. You are a Hinge success story. Hinge
Hinge,
is where it's
sponsor
at.
us.
I know. What is their tagline? Like the app meant to be deleted?
Yes,
Well,
exactly. Can attest
we
to
both
that.
deleted it.
Yeah.
So when did you know that he was like your person?
I mean, I think it was really early on. We just had so much fun. It was easy. I mean, meeting during COVID, it was such a unique time. So knowing that we could navigate that type of world, it was really interesting to think about, okay, what would it be like in a more typical world? I think, we bonded early on more simple things like we both love club sandwiches and we both love the movie About Time, but as we grew together, we we figured out, we have the same view on the world. And I really do think we are similar people in different fonts. So we have like similar perspectives, but we still have so much to learn from each other.
What were his green flags?
Ooh, okay. So I think from the right off the bat, he was very supportive. He's always been supportive of everything that I've wanted to do and has always encouraged me to go for those things. Like, I've started a videographer business and he was really the one that pushed me to do that. Huge green flag.
Huge.
Yes, I think he always reciprocates. So if, we're having even just like a simple conversation, if I'm asking him a question, he will immediately ask me back the same question, which I've been in relationships before where it's like it's hard to have them kind of, give that back to you, which
100%.
is such a small thing, but so meaningful. And I think just in terms of thinking of the engagement itself, like he really took initiative and he was very adamant on wanting to be the one to design the ring, which I thought was so exciting.
So cute.
He took the time to learn about the 4 C's, the cut, clarity, color, like all the things.
Yep.
And so it was fully a surprise when, the box opened up and there it was, and it was seriously it was like the best moment ever. I could go on and on about his green flags, but those are just a few.
No, and like I said, I've known your husband my entire life. He is a walking green flag. I absolutely adore him, and our moms are
1000%.
best friends. And so it was all of us were just like dying with anticipation. We were like, oh my god, it's happening today! Like freaking out. We were so excited. And just where was it? Where was the proposal?
So it was out on Long Island on Montauk Beach. The excuse for being out there, again, since we live in the city,
Yep.
the excuse to be out there, well, kind of two things. One, it was Father's Day, so we were out there with his family celebrating that. And secondly, there was supposed to be a homecoming party for you, which you were not clued in on.
I didn't know I was part of like the plan to get you to Montauk or out in the Hamptons that weekend because I live in London, and I had posted an Instagram story. I'm 5 hours ahead of you guys. Posted an Instagram story that morning. Your mother-in-law wakes up early, thank goodness, and was like, take it down, because I didn't know. She was like, she can't know that you're in London. So I had to take that. And I was like, oh my God, I hope I didn't spoil it. So knowing that I actually didn't spoil it because of an Instagram story makes me feel better.
Yes. So we went out there Friday night. Jack had told me, hey, like I would love to wake up early in the morning, go get some bagels, go to the beach, which isn't like totally uncommon for us to do. So I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. It was a beautiful like early summer weekend. And so we wake up on Saturday and we, hop in the car, drive to the beach. I was kind of tipped off for two reasons. One was I was like just kind of asking him like, oh, should I wear like my overalls, or like I have these white pants, and he was like, oh, wear the white pants. And I was like, okay, cool. And then two, as we're driving to the beach, it's probably like a good 20-30 minute drive out to Montauk from where his house is at. And I expected us to stop for bagels on the way, knowing that the plan was to take the bagels to the beach. He just veers off. I mean, this is like a typical...
to get the bagels?
He did not get the bagels.
Oh,
and so in my head, I mean, this is like where we had parked the car is a typical spot where we go to on the beach. It's like this little inlet. It's very quiet, usually not a whole lot of traffic there. And so we pull off into the inlet, and I was like, are we gonna get like the coffee and bagels? He's like, we're already here, like, let's just go. And I'm like,
what?
Okay. So we like go down to the beach and walk towards the water. And he had pointed in like the opposite direction that I was looking and said, hey, is that a whale over there? And I was like, wait, what?
Which is super common to see whales and dolphins in the Hamptons. Like,
yes,
that's not
absolutely
a crazy thing to point out.
So I'm turned the opposite way, like searching for the whale because, again, like it's not uncommon to see them. So I was waiting for it to come back up and breach.
Totally.
And I turned back around and like, it's funny watching the video later on. And so he's down on his knee. He has this whole speech, which I completely blacked out on because, in the moment, it's just like, it's so crazy that it's happening. And, there's a lot of emotions flooding in, but, yeah, and then, he had a photographer hidden up in the bushes, and the whole thing was captured on camera, which was spectacular.
I'll put a little clip of that in the YouTube video for anyone that's listening that wants to see it. The video is so cute. The video that your mother-in-law took is so cute because the ring, first of all, your ring is gorgeous, but it somehow caught the light, and the video's taken from far away, but you can see... Like,
it's actually crazy.
Yes, you can see like the beams, the rays bouncing off of your ring, and you guys are so far away. And I was like, it's such a beautiful moment. So I'll put that clip in here.
Yes, absolutely. So it was so special. And I mean, it was funny too, again, watching the video back because he's on his knee. Well, first of all, waiting for me forever. And then I finally turn around. He is just yapping away. Like he had the longest speech planned. It was so funny. But yeah, it was like the perfect moment. It was a completely like cloudless sunny day out in Montauk. It was a dream.
No, thank goodness. Phew. Okay, so now you're engaged. This was how many years ago? This was 2 years ago?
About a year and a half. So it was June of 2024.
Okay. And then how long did you go from planning your engagement to your wedding day? About a year and a couple months.
Yeah. It was, so we had gotten engaged June of 2024, and then the wedding was October of 2025. So it was, probably just less than a year and a half, which I feel like was a really good runway.
Yeah. And how long did you wait until you started planning?
We'd already discussed doing Mallorca, so we knew that that's the location we wanted to do it at. So honestly, planning started pretty much right after the engagement. People were already, on the internet kind of pulling places like, oh, families could stay here. Like this place is really beautiful. So it was almost immediate.
So what was your process? You knew you wanted to do Mallorca. You guys have spent a lot of time in Mallorca. What then? Did you guys find your venue first? Did you guys hire a wedding planner? Like what was your process?
So I was convinced that I could do all of this without a wedding planner. So I can admit now that was not right, correct. So
you do not suggest this for other brides planning a destination wedding.
Absolutely not. So sorry. And working a full-time job and having to plan a wedding is like a second full-time job. So let it be known that it does take a lot of work. It can be done, but anyways, I digress. So I started immediately with finding the venue. I was told through, friends who had gone through weddings before or through all of my other research that once you solidify the venue, everything else can kind of fall in place.
Right.
So I also did my own research online. You've probably heard this before, and I'm sure you'll hear it again, but social media is such a huge player in doing research for venues, vendors, and just kind of like giving you a realistic idea of what's out there. So I actually found my venue through TikTok, which, I feel like is just, yeah, there's so much, it's just a well of information. But yeah, I mean, when I was on the search for it, I was looking for things like proximity to Palma, knowing that a lot of people would be flying into that city from where they were living, and thinking about, we knew we wanted to host everything at the one location. So the ceremony, dinner, dancing, the venue that we found had all of that. And through the venue, you're actually required to use their wedding planning service.
Oh, you got lucky. So when you picked your venue, they gave you
was
the
just
person that you
folded
were gonna
in.
work with.
Yeah, so you're required to use them as a day of coordinator, and then you
Okay.
can upgrade your package to doing the more full planning process. So after kind of diving into more of what that looked like, we did end up doing the upgrade to the full package so she could help us connect to vendors and, just talk us through the details that we maybe weren't thinking about, which I think was a huge component because I had never planned a wedding before. I had been in a few, but like I wasn't super familiar with the whole
Right.
process, and it's a bear. So it was very helpful to have someone to lean into and be there to ask questions and,
But
just
you
think about all
had not
those small
seen your
details.
venue when you committed to your venue in person.
No, so again, I had found it on TikTok. I immediately reached out to them.
What was the
looking
name of it again? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
No, sorry. So our venue is called Santagoras.
It was spectacular.
It's beautiful. It's 20 minutes outside of Palma. It's surrounded by like these beautiful vineyards. And it really is just, even from the, like, it really
Spectacular.
stands up. Yes, it really stands up to what it looks like in photos and videos. But at the
And
time,
even more beautiful. Like genuinely, it was spectacular.
yes, from the moment, like it has this really long, you like enter through gates and you go down this long drive, and then it's just sitting up on this hill, and it's so
They
grand.
have the stairwell. Like when we arrived in a car parked, and there was the most grand staircase. It felt like
Yes.
I was arriving at the Cannes Film Festival. Like the staircase was spectacular just to get to the villa.
Every single thing. And again, they just have dedicated spaces for everything. And it was just, so it never felt like you were like just standing in the same place the whole night. I knew immediately that that was the one that I wanted. So had reached out directly to their team and had gotten kind of all of the spec sheets and what the expected cost would be with everything.
Yeah.
And after, doing more research on that, had decided that we could make that work within our budget. And I was fully fine with booking it sight unseen. It was very lucky that my husband's family was actually taking a trip to Mallorca within probably a 2-week time frame of when we had first started talking to the venue.
Wow, I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, so we had a date held for us, and then his family was able to actually go and do a little walkthrough for us, which again just kind of gave us some peace of mind to know that. And I had also, another recommendation that I would make is for anyone doing a destination wedding, join a destination wedding Facebook page specific to your destination, because the brides on those pages have so much information. They are so excited to share all of their vendors and just like different things that they have gone through. And it's just a great place to ask questions and just like feel like you're in a
never would have
community.
thought that. Okay,
Yes,
cool.
I know. I feel like Facebook has become such an outdated tool, but
Yeah.
for this type of thing, it was amazing. I actually connected with a bride who had just gotten married there a couple months prior, and she had given me so much information. She did a breakdown of all of her costs. She really gave me the peace of mind of, this place is amazing. You will love it. But for hair and makeup specifically, I was very adamant on, one, wanting to look like myself, and two, I was a little nervous to use someone that I wasn't able to do like a full trial with, knowing that, we're coming from somewhere not there. It was going to be hard to schedule the trials. So I ended up doing my own hair and makeup, which was a whole process in and of itself. But YouTube and TikTok tutorials saved the day. I had taken one of my good friends with me to Sephora and Ulta, and we had a full day of just grabbing all the different products that I thought that I would need. And then I did 2 of my own trials, and that day I had followed the one tutorial that I really liked, and was very proud of what the end result was. And I felt like myself.
Professionally done. You looked stunning.
Thank you.
I had no idea. Did you have like a holy grail product that you used?
Honestly, I think so it's a new product by Say. They have a new, it's a setting like finishing powder. Okay. And it doesn't like fully matte your face. It still like gives you a little bit of a sheen, but not in like a oily way, I guess. But it doesn't like totally matte you out. So would highly recommend that.
Okay, good to know. We'll add that to our shopping list.
Yes.
How many people were invited to your wedding?
So we sent out around 100 invites. The cap at the venue was 100 guests, so we knew we didn't want to go too far over. Just, you might have an idea of who will say yes and who will say no, but you never know. So it was important to us to not go over too much and make the mistake of having everybody say yes. It would be a great problem to have, but you don't want to. Yes, exactly. So we invited around 100, and we ended up with around 75, which was pretty much what we had estimated from the beginning.
And so you ended up with 75 RSVP yeses, and then how many people were actually there that day?
So we actually ended up with probably around 85 RSVP yeses, and then 75 ended up actually coming. Yeah, so one thing to think about is planning for that possible adjustment. I mean, things come up, people get sick, there's injuries, and just random life things. So I think being prepared for that, and also being understanding and flexible within that.
Okay, that's really good advice, because I have no idea how many people to invite. I'm scared everyone's going to say yes, or like no one's going to say yes, and I booked the venue too big, and it's just me and our families.
Hard. I know.
It's just like our normal Christmas dinner people. Like, I don't know. I want to talk about your civil ceremony in Minnesota. So you grew up in Minnesota. You went back home to do your civil ceremony there. I know why you did it, because you have to get married in the States, because it's not legal if you get married in Mallorca. But can you talk to me about that? Like, was there a big emotional difference between your civil ceremony and your Mallorca wedding? Like, just talk me through that experience.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, we had to get legally married in the States first. And so it was actually my mother-in-law's idea to do Minnesota, knowing that it was going to be a larger trip for the Minnesotans to get to Mallorca than everybody else. So for a little bit of backstory, all of my husband's family is predominantly in Sweden and England, and then my whole family is scattered throughout the Midwest, mostly in Minnesota. So we wanted to do something special for anyone who wasn't able to make it to the Mallorca wedding, to have them be able to still be part of the process. Yeah. So that's why we chose Minnesota. And I would explain the civil versus the destination wedding as so the civil ceremony felt a little more transactional, and then the destination wedding had more of the emotions. Okay. So I would explain and I think this would differ depending on your situation and kind of how you're viewing it. So I would describe the civil ceremony like the excitement that you have before getting on a roller coaster, and then the destination wedding itself is actually being on the roller coaster, going through all those emotions, and just having the time of your life. The actual wedding itself, we got to celebrate with all of our best friends and family. We were surrounded by everybody who loves us, and it was just like euphoria, like you've never felt before, knowing that all of these people are coming together to celebrate you, and it is literally the one time in your life that all of those people will be in that room together. Just a completely special moment, and it really does fly by so fast. One piece of advice that actually someone had given me the night before the wedding was, make sure you, throughout the day, hand pick 3 moments by the end of the night of things that you truly want to remember. Because the day, like, you literally will black out throughout the entire day because you're just like, you're on this like cloud nine and just like floating around. All of your different walks of life are just like
There.
interacting. And it's like, it's such a mind swirl in the best way possible. But that really helped me kind of think about like, okay, this is like, this specific thing is like what I want to remember about this whole roller coaster ride.
Was your civil ceremony the first time that your in-laws were meeting your family in person?
Partially, yes. So my in-laws had met about half of my family. They had met my mom and my sister before,
Okay.
but hadn't met my dad and my stepmom. So the civil was definitely the first time that the entire family was together.
Yeah.
Which was such an interesting thing, and that's definitely something that my husband and I have tried to navigate this whole time, and I'm sure it's something that you've had to deal with too.
Our families have not met yet.
It's
they're
so
probably going to meet
interesting
for the first time at our wedding, which is
Yep,
nuts.
exactly. So there was definitely a lot of nerves around that, but luckily everybody is so nice, and I think everyone was just so excited because again, this is like the first wedding from either of our sides. So this is the first time that our families have like gotten to come together with another family, and everyone was just like it was the best thing ever because we were together for basically a whole weekend. And because we had that about a month before the actual wedding, it was like a little sneak peek of what the actual wedding weekend would be like. And to have kind of that primer first really helped because then we could just enjoy the actual destination wedding because everyone had kind of known each other a little bit and we already had, you know, that foundation laid, which was great.
So my parents are divorced, and when I think about having my family meet my fiance's family, that makes me really anxious because not only are my family American and his family are French, but also my parents are divorced, so it feels like I'm trying to not only mix two people together, two families together, but really I'm mixing three. So like it makes me incredibly anxious. Can you talk about what that was like for you as a child of divorce and how you maybe managed that?
Yeah, so luckily my parents have been divorced for probably about 25 years at this point. So it's been a long time. My parents, geographically, they live probably like a half hour away from each other. And so they are very used to seeing each other at different family events for my sister and I.
That's good.
Yes, luckily it was, I mean, it's still a little anxiety inducing having them, you know, constantly in the same room and spending all these long hours together. I know.
I genuinely, I can't, it's the one thing that gives me the most anxiety. I'm like, I can't imagine.
I know.
And I'm sure it'll be fine. I just can't, it's hard to picture.
Totally. I think keeping in mind, you know, the balance of everything. So thinking about like the seating charts and maybe the events leading up to or after the wedding, finding time and creating like special moments with each of them separately. You know, like not everybody has to do everything together, but also figuring out, you know, so we had speeches that both my mom and dad did, and I had both of them walk me down the aisle. I really wanted to find the balance between all of it and make sure that everyone felt like they were included in the same ways. And, but also, you know, for the seating chart, for example, I had sat them at the same table, but not directly next to each other.
Right.
And thinking about, you know, the small little details like that where, you know, they can be included, but they don't have to be constantly in contact with each other the entire time.
I think seeing your wedding and being a guest at your wedding and seeing how you were navigating that was really inspiring to me because I had never considered the fact that both my parents can walk me down the aisle. I'm like, of course.
Right.
I would love to have both my parents walk me down the aisle. And I guess traditional weddings lean a little bit more towards the father of the bride, which kind of leaves out the mother of the bride.
Exactly.
And my mom's my best friend.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't feel fair.
Yeah.
And so seeing how you honored both of them, I'm definitely going to be taking a page out of your book and doing that. I might not sit them at the same table, but they can walk me down the aisle together.
Fair enough.
So I do want to talk about fashion for a bit because you looked So beautiful at both your civil ceremony and your more formal party. But let's talk about your party look. Let's talk about it. So you live in New York City. Where did you go? What bridal salons did you go to? How many dresses did you try on? What was that process like?
So, of course, being in New York City, everybody wants to go to Kleinfeld.
I booked
That
my
is
appointment last week. I'll see you in December, Kleinfeld.
absolutely. So, for those that don't know, it's the Say Yes to the Dress bridal salon. And that was the one request from both moms, my mom and my mother-in-law. So that was the very first place that we went. They have a massive selection, and they're, for the most part, I think their sales associates really know what they're talking about. If you have a specific vision in mind, I think they're really good at curating what exactly you're looking for. But one of the best things about going there, and I don't know if they've reached out to you about this yet, but before you go to your appointment, they will have you choose 3 to 4 dresses to have ready in your room right away when you get there. So then you already have an idea of things that you think you might like, and that's just kind of like a good launching point. So the 4 that I had picked, they were already in the room when I got there, which was great
cool.
because you didn't have to waste any time talking with, like, you obviously still chat with them to like talk about budget and like what exactly you're looking for, the vibe, everything. But yeah, so I picked the first dress off the rack from the 4 that I had originally chosen, and the very first one that I tried on, I was like, yep, I know that it's it.
The first dress you tried on is the dress you got married in?
Yes. Which is absolutely insane. I know. When I tell you, like, all of this stuff just fell into place, like, when you know, you know. So I wore the first dress out, had everybody look at it. Honestly, I don't think everyone was fully convinced yet. And I think
because it's the first dress. I think
it
they're
was
a
the
little
first
shocked.
dress. And I was the same way. I'm like, I really love this dress, but I simply cannot just say yes right here and now.
Right.
So I, rotate through a couple more dresses. The appointment was coming to an end, and I still had that first dress in mind. And so the sales associate asked if I wanted to try it on again. And I said, yes, let's do it. I don't want to wear it. So for everybody, it was...
I'll show photos on YouTube if you want to see the photos.
So there was a neck scarf included. And I said, okay, let's try it on without the neck scarf and see if, the moms and my sister notice that it's the same dress. So to do that, go back out. And they were like, wait, did we see this one? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, guys, I really, really love this dress. And they were like, okay, like, let's, still think on it. It's still day one.
Did you put a veil on?
Put a veil on, held some fake flowers, did the whole thing. And I still knew that was the one, but we had another appointment that day. So we went to the second appointment.
Where was your second appointment?
Second appointment was at Jenny U. I think like Anthropology and a couple other places carry them, but they do have their own bridal salon in the city. So we went there. I honestly thought that I would get my dress from there because a lot of the styles that I'd seen online were what I was looking for. But I still, while I was there, every single dress I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this. In the back of my head, I still had that first one in mind. So fast forward probably 3 or 4 weeks, that entire time I'm still thinking about that first dress.
And at that point, you had only gone to 2 salons.
Only 2 salons. And I had planned to go to a third with a bunch of my friends. And leading up to the appointment, I'm like, I really don't want to try on any more because I know that one is like the one. Yeah. So I texted all of them and I said, hey guys, I'm actually going to cancel this appointment. Let's go back to Kleinfeld and I'm going to go get my dress. And so it was like the best thing ever. So my friends were with me that day, and all of the moms FaceTimed in. My sister, unfortunately, they couldn't be there that day, but I was so happy that they had already seen the dress in person. Yeah. So I felt good about that. And yeah, I got the dress that day. So I went to 2 salons and tried on maybe like 15 to 20 dresses, and then that was that. Yeah.
And it was the first one. Why is it always the very first one?
I know. So definitely, take into consideration like what you want to be for what you want your first one to be, because it might just be it.
And when you said yes to the dress, how many months did we have until the wedding?
Yeah, I think I said yes early November. and the wedding wasn't until the following October. So it was a good like 11 months.
You had a lot of time.
Yes, exactly.
Did you do the something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue?
Like unofficially, yes. So my something old was my mom had a garter made of her beading from her wedding dress. I didn't actually end up wearing it that day because my dress had a pretty high slit, and I didn't want a garter showing. We don't need that.
Could get a little tacky.
Yes, we did not need to do that. And then my something new and something I would recommend for brides, I saw this on TikTok, of course, is having a wedding day scent. So I picked out a scent from...
Oh, a scent, like a perfume.
Like a perfume. Okay. Yeah, so I picked out a Chanel perfume and wore it for the first time that day, and now I get to wear it. Like when I spritz it back home, it's just like a little reminder of what that day was like. Highly recommend. My something borrowed was, so I was looking for earrings all leading up to the wedding, and I just couldn't find anything that felt like important enough, or like it just like didn't fit the vibe of like my dress and like the overall day. And my mom was like, oh, how about these? And she had showed me through FaceTime like, oh, those would be perfect. She's like, oh, they're actually my wedding earrings. And I was like, okay, like, let's do it. So that was my something old. And then something blue, which I ended up not wearing on the wedding day, was I have a travel ring that has aquamarine as the gem. The reason that I have a travel ring is because when my now husband had picked up the ring from the jeweler, literally that night, him and I went to dinner, and completely unprompted, I told him, if you choose a gold band, make sure the prongs are not gold. Because Emerald Cut is a step cut ring, and it'll pull in those colors. So I knew that I wanted the basket to be like a platinum white gold, something that would make it look like it gives the illusion that the ring is floating a little bit.
Right.
And the ring he had picked up that day was a gold band with gold prongs. And so he excused himself to the bathroom. I had no idea. I was just like, whatever, like la la la. Yeah. And he went to the bathroom and was like having a little bit of a meltdown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, a little bit. And he ended up getting the ring reset. So when he proposed, he had an extra band without any like diamond or anything in it. So I ended up using that band. We went back to the jeweler, and I knew that I wanted to use it as a travel ring. Aww. And ended up doing a very lovely blue aquamarine.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's such a sweet little moment. And now you have like a fabulous second ring.
Exactly. I know, win-win.
Totally win-win. So now let's move back to the wedding day. What went right? Whoa, that's a hard thing to say. Back to the wedding day. What went right? What went wrong? What happened?
The wedding day was literally perfect. So much of it went right. I like everything from the florals to the weather to It was gorgeous. I was so nervous because the week leading up to it, it looked like it was going to rain every single day. And then we got there and it was like perfect, sunny, 75, like exactly what I wanted. And, there was no like transportation issues. Everyone was flying in. Like there was no major issues with like cancellations or anything. It really was the perfect thing. And I owe a lot to our day of coordinator because she made sure the run of show went so smoothly. She has this thing down to a science. It was such a well-oiled machine. Like she knew when to kind of guide everyone from space to space and just made sure that like everyone had everything they needed. No, there was no questions of like, where do we go next? And it was really great in that way. And honestly, I don't like my husband and I, we've talked about it. We're like, there is literally not a thing that we would have changed or made different that day, which I think is such a special thing to come out of a major
really rare.
Event. Yes,
you're probably gonna be the only person I speak to that's like, no, it was perfect.
I mean, was
there any day of drama?
There was definitely some things that went wrong, but the biggest thing was, they actually played the music that Jack walked down the aisle to and that I walked down the aisle to, they had flipped. So the
Oops.
song that the song that I walked down the aisle to, I mean, I, again, was feeling so many emotions at that point that when we were walking, in my head, I was kind of like, what song is this? I was just so confused. And I'm like, well, here we go. And we like walked down, and it didn't like occur to me until later on that I had heard my song first. And so I was actually walking down the aisle to his song. So that was like,
Oh my gosh.
it was just kind of like a funny thing. Like literally nobody noticed, and like who cares? But yeah, it was a silly little thing.
On a scale of 0 to 100, how nervous were we? Like,
Okay, so I will say,
walk down
I
the
think
aisle.
having the civil ceremony took so much pressure off of that actual day. Like there was no, not that there was a question in the first place, but there was no question that like somebody could say no, or like somebody wouldn't show up. Like
there's
we're
no
already
runaway
married.
bride moment. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that like really took the pressure off. And even like what no one prepares you for, or at least that I wasn't prepared for, was the moment right before walking down the aisle. Like I had imagined so many times actually walking, but like the moment of like arriving to the venue, because I didn't get ready at the venue. We had driven up after all of the guests and everything had like a little welcome drink, and they were kind of mulling around. So we had come in the back way, and it was like a whirlwind of like, we get out of the vehicle. I have my bouquet like thrown at me. They like say, okay, are you like ready to go? And that whole like whirlwind of, and that was the first time like my dad had seen me.
Aww.
And it was a lot in one moment, because we didn't do like any first looks with anyone.
Yeah.
It was the very first time that Jack and I were going to be seeing each other. I think that moment of like, oh, okay, this is real. Like it was the craziest thing.
Like it's happening.
Yes. It was amazing. But yeah, it was crazy. So good.
Oh my goodness. Did you cry that day? Were you extra emotional? Like, how was your emotions? Because I imagine for myself, I'm going to be, first of all, so anxious. I feel like I'm going to faint. I'm going to be really weepy, because I'm a naturally weepy person. I cried at your wedding. I cry at a stranger's wedding. I cry all the time. So, like, how, tell me about your emotional state.
I mean, I feel like I really had my emotions in check. I got teary-eyed, but I didn't like fully have like tears coming down at any point, which I could see myself going either way. I don't cry very easily, and so I wasn't sure if I was going to that day or not. And honestly, to keep my makeup in check, I'm glad that the tears didn't happen. But yeah, no, it was definitely emotional. And seeing Jack when I was coming down the aisle, like I could tell that he was on the verge of tears too, which was, and he hardly ever cries too. So to see him in that way, like it's just a beautiful moment. And I mean, that whole moment, that exchange when you're just like staring at each other when you're walking down is so special. And yeah,
it was so special to witness. I was sobbing. I was crying for both of you. All your tears came to me. I was just like,
we pushed them on you.
yeah. And my mom. My mom and I were just like sharing tissues the whole night. If you could give one piece of advice to a bride, or to me, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. So leading up to the wedding, I mean, obviously weddings are expensive. We all have our budgets. Jack and I, leading up to our wedding, we wanted to each choose something that we really wanted to prioritize. There's not going to be budget for every single thing that you want. And I think it's important to both have something kind of chosen that you really want to put as a priority. For me, my big priority was making sure that I was capturing the day in a really special way. So I really wanted to prioritize the photographer and videographer. We found this amazing photographer based in Germany. He does more like documentary, candid style photos. And from the moment that I saw all of his work, I knew like that was the one. So I'd spent a lot of time looking into different photographers and making sure that they were the right fit for us.
Because you're a videographer yourself, and you make your own Super 8 films, and you do that for people, and people hire you. So I would imagine, because that's a part of your profession, you want to have the same thing. You can't film your own wedding, but
Exactly.
who's going to replace you?
Exactly. Well, actually, when I was going through this whole search, this is what really prompted me to like take that leap. When I was looking at, I knew that I wanted to do a vintage style video. So Super 8 is something that I've always really been interested in. And when I was looking for a Super 8 wedding videographer, in my head I was thinking, I could so easily do this. And that's what really prompted me to launch this new business and start doing my own work. And so I give props to Valentine and his team too, because I've been using him as a resource to ask questions and just kind of be a little bit of a mentor towards that.
Well, if any brides need a Super 8 videographer,
I am
DM Adyson.
available
Yes.
worldwide.
Except for the weekend of my wedding, and I
Yes.
want you to be a guest, not working there, but she's busy that
Absolutely, I
weekend.
appreciate
Sorry,
that. Yes.
she's booked.
And
And then for Jack, what did he prioritize?
yeah, his priority, of course, being a man, was good food.
Yeah.
So
and the food was phenomenal.
And that was another lucky thing too, which can be a pro or con. Our venue uses an exclusive caterer. So we really didn't have a choice in, I guess, who was making the food, but their food is absolutely amazing. They're a Michelin star caterer.
Delicious.
It was insane. We had actually done a menu tasting with them about 6 months prior to the wedding. We finally were able to go visit the venue and see all the things and try all the food, and they really blew us away. Even for like, I would eat at a restaurant that they have.
Anytime.
Yes.
Anytime.
Yeah.
And the past hors d'oeuvres were fantastic. Like,
absolutely insane.
oh my
I
God,
know.
insanely delicious. What was the biggest thing you did to save money when planning your wedding? And what was the best thing you splurged on, aside from your videography and your photography?
Ooh. So in terms of saving money, I think it's important to understand what you're hoping to achieve fully. So at the very end, what is your final budget? How much, if you are getting, any financial help from family, or if you have an idea of yourself of how much you want to contribute, and then looking at when you would need to save that by. So whether that's on, putting a couple hundred away each month, or, and then it's also thinking on top of not only what the wedding's going to cost, but the travel, the dress, the shoes, all of the little things that lead up into it, and taking that into consideration as well. I would say, by far our biggest expense was the catering, and I think it was well worth it. Yes.
I didn't pay for it, but I was a guest. It was worth it.
1000% worth it. And I feel like it's pretty rare to have people still talking about your food at your wedding, post-wedding. And that was absolutely one of the things. So I would highly recommend splurge on the food.
I think there was a beet gazpacho. Never had beet gazpacho. It was phenomenal. I still think about it. Would like to have it tonight for dinner.
I know.
It was
we just got
incredible.
all of our pictures back, and I'm so glad that they took pictures of
the food.
The food.
We'll
because,
put the photos in the YouTube.
Put the gazpacho in.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's time to help a bride in need.
Ooh,
and I'm going to read us a dilemma, and we're going to give some advice.
Okay.
So it says, help, wedding gown dilemma. Hi, I'm having an issue with deciding whether to wear a second gown, and if so, when to change into it. I bought a large and very expensive Panina Torne ball gown for my wedding. I fell in love with it at Kleinfeld, bought it in January, and I did buy a second midi dress a few months ago with the intention of wearing it to the after party. That's away from the venue, because there's no way I could or should wear a ball gown to the casino. I guess the after party's at a casino. You could, girl, whatever.
Yeah,
she
why
says,
not?
However, I just got the ball gown altered this month, and I realized how heavy it is and how hot it is to stand there during the alterations. Now I'm second guessing and agonizing over whether to switch into my after party dress earlier, but I have a couple issues with that. One, I don't want to spend 5 digits on a wedding gown to only wear it for 30 minutes at the ceremony. And two, I'm nowhere near as in love with my second gown, but I bought it on a whim from a bridal designer online, got it custom fitted. She says, I'm actually not liking the way I look in it, to be honest, but for the after party, who cares? I'm literally lying awake at night over this. Help, I know. It's insane. What do I do?
Okay, so I have an opinion on this because I I ended up wearing my wedding dress the entire evening. I
Yes.
did actually have a second dress to change into, and I just
Okay.
never did. I do wish I would have at some point because my dress was absolutely trashed at the bottom.
Oh,
It was I mean, it had been stepped on all evening. It
yeah.
like drinks
We danced
were
hard.
we danced hard,
Yeah.
and I did actually end up with a little bit of the bodice got ripped on the side,
Oh no.
which is so sad. So I actually do wish I would have changed into it at some point. However, I felt the same way that I wanted to enjoy as
Yeah.
much of the evening as possible in the long dress because it is truly the one time that you'll get to wear it. And in my head, by the end of the night, I'm like, if it's trashed, it's trashed. Like,
Totally.
I'll get it professionally cleaned. We'll box it up, and like
Yeah.
she'll live in there.
It's part of the story of the dress.
1000%. And I've been to weddings before where immediately after the ceremony, the bride changes into their second look, which is great. But also, you get barely any pictures of the dress. You don't get a picture with them in the dress, and
Yeah.
it I don't know, I feel like it takes away from like their big bridal moment a little bit. So I highly recommend changing into a second lighter, maybe shorter dress, but I would try to wear your long one as long as possible, at least through the dinner at the very
Yeah.
least. Yeah.
If you can sit in it. Can you sit
Yeah,
in all
oh,
ball
true.
gowns? Like maybe you can't sit in it. I don't know how big this
There's a
Pina
lot of
Tornado ball gown
fabric,
is.
yeah.
I don't have my dress yet. I have no idea what that's going to look like. I imagine, knowing me, it's going to be big too. Um, and I feel like beauty is pain. You're a
Do you
bride
feel
for
like
one day.
do you think you'll get a second dress?
I don't know. You get a chance to wear it once. So wear it as long as you possibly can stomach it, and then change into the small dress for the casino. So that's, I think, what the advice I'd give. If you have any wedding dilemmas, please send your wedding dilemmas to me on TikTok at @KatherineMichelle__, or through the link in this episode. It can be anonymous. We will never say your name. Nothing. I promise, I promise, I promise. But let me know if I can help. Addison, thank you for sharing your wedding story with me. This was really, really nice, and it was so beautiful, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to be my first guest and share with us. I'm
Yes.
so happy.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was so fun to relive it all again.
Oh, and if you love this conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who loves weddings or is planning a wedding. And I'll see you next week for another love story. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Addison, I'm so grateful.
Ah.